Sometimes life happens.
We see you.
And you feel all alone.
We feel you.
With nowhere to go.
We got you.
So many questions unanswered.
We understand, yeah.
And you feel like you can't.
But God
wrestle with
understands.
your own thoughts. This is for you.
Yeah.
When life happens and it makes you feel like you're off the beat, 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 off the beat. Real authentic conversations. What's up, everyone? This is Jorge Ambris right here with Offbeat Podcast, and I'm excited today to be able to bring another exciting story with you guys, man. I got another exciting interview, and I've been looking forward to this one, man, since this gentleman agreed to come on the show right here with me, man. And I'm so excited. And before I want to just read a little introduction of who we're going to be interviewing today. And his name is Justin Jerry. And Justin Jerry, man, he's a husband to his beautiful wife, Ashley, for 9 years now. And he's a father to two beautiful girls, Ariah and Alana, and soon to be his first son, Josiah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Round of applause, the boy. That's every dad's dream,
yes,
man.
Sir.
And then Justin is also a former owner of Self-Made Training Facility there in Redlands, and the co-founder of the Good Man Movement, a nonprofit mentorship program for young men grades 6 through 12. The Good Man Movement was a catalyst in developing and nurturing the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional aptitude of every young man that passes through the program. Justin ranks the Good Man Movement as his biggest accomplishment, right behind marrying his wife and the birth of his children. Justin acknowledges that nothing is possible without God's mercy and grace. He is thankful for all the Lord has blessed him with, and we are thankful to have you here on the show, man.
Yes,
Justin,
sir.
Welcome
Thank
to
you,
Offbeat Podcast, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, man. It's awesome to be able to have you here, and I know I've interviewed a few of the trainers there from the gym that you formerly owned, which is Self-Made, man. And so when I was like, man, you know what? Like I gotta get the owner there. I gotta get the owner, and so I didn't really know where to go. So finally, when I was able to like reach out to you on social media, I was like, hey man, like let's get this interview going, man.
Yeah, man, and I'm thankful, bro.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful. Like we said off camera, it's just this is beautiful, man. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. And so just to get started, what I always like to do, man, is just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how many brothers and sisters, you know, where were you born, where you from, man?
Cool, man. So I'm right down the street, man. I'm from Rialto, California. Grew up there.
All right.
Moved out here. Went to Eisenhower. Went to Carter High School.
Okay.
Graduated 06. First graduating class.
All right.
Got a younger brother. He's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
Got an older brother. He's a year older than me.
All right.
Him and his family live in Tennessee. My younger brother, he's making moves around here in the IE as well. So, like you said, beautiful wife, both parents, grew up. So just really trying to navigate my way, going through from college, went to Laverne, trying to navigate and I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit, but just trying to figure that out, man.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out.
Yeah. And how old are you now?
Right now I'm 34.
34 years old. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
man.
All right. And so how was it growing up though in Rialto, man, during because we're almost so we're 90s babies?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was good growing up in Rialto, man. For me, I have a father that is lock and key because my dad is from LA and he's done his thing back in the past. So I wasn't able to get in any of the trouble. I saw all the trouble. I heard about all the trouble coming back to school the next day. But it was great, man. I grew up playing basketball. That was just me, man. You're a typical young kid, not much trouble either. So
yeah, that's cool, man. So yeah, like as you said, your dad had probably gone. Was he had a rough background?
Yeah, I mean, lock and key. I mean, he's he's the fourth of 7 kids.
Okay.
And so they grew up in L.A. You know, your typical L.A. had just his mom in the household.
Yeah.
So he was always dibbling and dabbling in different things. So you just always knew, you know, my dad is a no nonsense. People always ask, your dad is a cop? I'm like, no, he's not a cop. The way that he carries himself, the stoicness is just like, you know, people are like, wow, well, you know, what is your dad? So no, he kept us under lock and key, which I can appreciate because it's easy to get in trouble. I mean, we were right down the street from San Bernardino, from all the other places, so it was easy to get in trouble.
Yeah, well, even Rialto is pretty active, right?
Absolutely.
Rialto has always been an active city too.
Absolutely,
I think it's one of those cities that a lot of recently I watched kind of like a vlog or something like that about Rialto.
Yeah.
And they were talking like all the hidden gangs there, like all the active activity, the house party crews,
Absolutely.
like how they were active, you know what I mean? So, and how was it for you, like, as far as like, with both parents, growing up right there, you know what I mean? Was there, I know I even asked this question to Juwan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was it ever weird for you though? Because did you ever feel like, man, I'm missing out on the action?
I felt like I was missing out on the action early years.
Yeah.
When I started going to Carter my senior year, I started seeing different things. Like I was always the kid I was shy, and I was kind of like, everybody has one parent.
Yeah.
And so I felt like my dad was always there.
Yeah.
So I felt bad, and I felt, I don't know, you have that survivor's remorse, I guess you say.
Yeah.
And it was kind of embarrassing too.
Yeah.
But looking back at it, it was like I know a lot of kids wanted that father in the household.
Right.
And so I'm thankful looking back at it. Hindsight 2020 for sure. So
no, 100%, man, 100%. Because like that's we had that conversation too, like because I was like that too. I grew up, fortunately too with both parents. You know what I mean?
Good.
And I'm very thankful now for that. But hindsight, growing up, it was like, man, like you were the one that always like, get inside. You know what I mean? Like
man.
It was your name always being called, you know what I mean, from the house. Like, my brother's name is Juan. It was like, George, Juan, like Jorgito, Juan, like, vénganse, like, come to the house. And we'd be like, man. And all the homies, all the friends right there, like, ha, ha, ha.
Right.
Like, get your butt inside. You know what I mean? And we used to hate it. But man, hindsight, like, it saved us from getting into a lot of stuff. Because like you said, you would hear about everything later on.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, so-and-so did this, or so-and-so got into that. Or
I would go to class, man, especially going to Eisenhower my freshman year.
Yeah.
I knew a senior. Won't give too much information, but I knew a senior, and he was graduating the next day. Heard about how he killed somebody outside of school, and they were trying to find him and things like that, and it was just, it hit, man. And we hear stories like that. I've gone to a little bit of house parties, and it seems like, the Lord always orchestrated a way for me to leave early.
Yeah.
Because it was always a shooting. There was always somebody dying. And I didn't feel like I missed out on that part because I didn't want to be part of that. But, it was always the Lord just orchestrating something.
Yeah.
And just being thankful to have parents that was really so, on my bumper, so to speak,
Yeah.
So.
No, 100%, man, 100%. And sometimes, like, we don't realize, like, that, the things that we were saved from, you know what I mean? Like a lot of things, I always think about that too, where there were so many situations where, man, we could have been there, if it wasn't for that phone call, when cell phones just came out.
Right.
I remember a few times too, man, where, man, like some things went down right after getting that phone call. I remember when cell phones just started coming out.
Yeah.
I remember my mom, for some reason, man, she's like, here's a cell phone. I got a cell phone. And, I was running a mutt, already during that time, you know what I mean? But she was like, here, just in case, an emergency. I was like, all right, whatever, And I remember one time she called me. She's like, hey, you know what? Like, I feel like something's going to happen. Like, you should just come home. And I remember just wanting so bad to ignore it. I wanted to ignore it so bad. I'm like, but something in me just, didn't allow me to. And I remember I'm like, all right, fellas, man, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to go home, go rest. And sure enough, man, that night, like some crazy things would just pop off. You know what I mean? And so looking back at that, man, how was it for you, man? Because I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
About as far as growing up as a black American, you know what I mean, here in Rialto here. How was that? And how, hindsight, like, how was that growing up, man? Like, I just want to just straight out,
Yeah, man. So for
ask.
me, I mean, Rialto was full. It's like a melting pot, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so I never felt like an outcast. But then you hear about all the different stories of police brutality and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think I continue to attribute, like, my dad was always there.
Yeah.
And so having to deal with, like, police brutality or racism that I would even, like, anything that I would see, anything to experience, I never experienced that right in front of me.
Yeah.
I hear stories about it. I see it, man, even going to school in Laverne. Laverne's predominantly a white city. And I think it was just by God's grace. I've got pulled over maybe 3 or 4 times in Laverne. Dark windows, things of that sort. And I never had to deal with that. But seeing it was something that was really big for me. And even starting with the Good Man movement, I think I started something called Brothers, Badges, and Breakfast, and where I had different police officers and different people from different entities come out to talk about the police brutality that was going on.
Right.
And it was huge just being able to understand what was going on and seeing the different aspects and the different waves of things that was occurring. So for me, having to deal with racism like that was never overt to me.
Yeah.
But I feel for those situations, and I like to study those situations, see exactly what's going on, what's the background in that.
Yeah.
Knowing the full story.
Right.
Good friend of mine, Ryan Tillman. He's actually a police officer in Chino, and he has something called Breaking Barriers United. Mm-hmm. And just pretty much talking about the police officer side. He's actually from Rialto. Police officer side and the civilian side, and just understanding that dynamic. Understanding, a big thing for me that they talked about was when a cop shoots, they're taught to shoot center mass. Center mass means the biggest part of your body.
Right.
So when they die, it's not like I was trying to shoot your leg just to stop you. I have to shoot where I can hit you the most.
Yeah.
And so just different aspects like that, understanding both sides, having empathy for both sides.
Right.
Having a police officer in my own family and knowing that. So yeah, man, I've dealt with it from afar and have been able to navigate from different ways.
Yeah. No, and that's a cool perspective. You know what I mean? And I think these are the conversations we need to have and have conversations like that. And I love how you say, even with the Good Man movement and even some of the people that what they're doing is being able to see both sides of the spectrum, because I think that's where, in all reality, man, I love to have these conversations, because the thing is that you're never going to have these type of conversations through mainstream media.
Right.
That's a fact, man. And I don't care what anyone says. You may or may not even agree, with what we say, but that's okay. The thing is that we're still trying to just bring a conversation about the situations, because, I'm in the same boat, where I grew up in an era where, man, we saw both sides of the spectrum too.
Sure.
I remember growing up, I always tell people growing up, I did have a lot of run-ins with the law, a lot of run-ins. And the truth is, man, that, part of taking responsibility was the fact is that I was up to no good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? 90% of the time, I was up to no good. Right. The other 10%, it was because we were probably on our way to do
so something was bad going down.
Yeah. So, and the thing is that, but I did happen to have a few run-ins, with the police at a very young age. And one of the situations I remember coming in a situation where I think I was maybe I was 15 years old, because I had just gotten back from Mexico. And I remember we were near a neighbor's house, and we were in the front, and it was maybe 4 or 5 of us, all kids, no gang affiliation, nothing. We were just kids from the neighborhood right there.
Yeah.
And we knocked down, it was a wooden fence, and we knocked down one of the poles on accident.
Yeah.
Accident, innocent. Well, the neighbors, instead of calling us and being like, hey guys, can you put this back? They call the cops. And so, okay, fine, that's their right, whatever. They call the cops. The cops come, and so they hey, you guys come here.
Yeah.
And we're we're all kind of shocked, what's going on? What did we do? We didn't do anything. We're just kids. We're right here playing. So they tell us what happened and everything. But then one cop, man, he just zones in on me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because I was just, because I had just gotten back from Mexico.
Sure.
So the tans out there are a little bit, so I did come back browner than normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I came back looking like straight paisa. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? I was but I wasn't affiliated. I wasn't dressed like a gang member or anything. But he zones in on me, man, and I just had a serious face. I was just looking, I was just hearing, and he's like, "Oh, you think you're tough, huh?" And I'm like, "What?" So he just comes at me in that way, And I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, why? He's like, oh yeah, you think you're bad, huh, man? You know, but let me tell you something. Like, you're nothing but a little punk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're this, you're that. And man, like from the like anger, but the embarrassment at the same time, like I start crying, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I start
yeah.
like tears start coming out.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, you know, my mom comes. And then like at that time, like my dad didn't want to come because my dad he literally thought that, you know, I was doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, man, like I didn't know what to do. And he's like, man, like mock my words. Like, you know, I'm gonna be the one to arrest you in a few years. Like I'm gonna put you away. Like that, bro.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know, I'm like, man. And I remember going inside the patrol car, and I remember like, you know, like I don't know if it was a scare tactic or what.
Yeah.
If it was just like straight on racism. I don't know what it was. But man, I remember like just feeling angry, like feeling just so like remorse, like feeling like, man, you know what I mean? And that moment was just like, it was the first time that I actually like felt like wow, like, man, why is he coming at me like that?
Right.
You know what I mean? But, you know, that was one situation. What happened, you know, years later was that through that time though, I was able to come across not just him, but I was able to come across other officers, you know, and then even when I went into juvie, because I ended up having to do some time in juvie too.
Yeah.
You know, I ended up coming across, man, some great officers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And what, I don't know what it was, like in my life, I never allowed, you know, one experience to dictate how I thought about everyone.
Good for you.
And I'm really happy about that. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's how my parents raised me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I never allowed like that experience to be like, man, you know what? I hate cops.
Yeah.
You know, I hated that moment, but it never allowed me to like go that far because man, like I said, like, man, through those experiences, I was able to come across some great officers, you know, some great probation officers,
Absolutely.
some great people that, man, they would literally like sit down with us. You know, they would literally like, maybe they came from parts of the area where we came from. And they were like, look, guys, like, you know, they really cared about us.
Right.
They really showed empathy, care. So I was able to like really see both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And so when things do happen, it's sad. It's sad because, you know, I feel like nowadays, like we all rush, you know, to one conclusion. You know what I mean? And I'll be real. Like now I see it more than ever. Like, and that's why I don't even try to listen. Like it really is politically driven.
Of course.
You know, it really is. You know, and it just rushes people to think one way.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Instead of like really like, and that's why I like what you say that, you know what, to really teach people to see both sides,
Yeah, man.
to empathize with both sides, because like you said, man, like there are people that are going to care, that do want, you know, people to understand that, man, you know, this isn't our only duty. You know, this isn't like our only goal is to just go and, you know, and then there are some people that are just bad.
Yeah, there are. And it's on both sides, man. I'm like, in college, I worked for a boys' home. And that really touched me. And the boys' home had a side where there was at-risk youth and there was the autistic. And I worked with the at-risk youth, and I loved it. I loved it, man. It was from a standpoint of where these kids, the next step was jail. And so they all stayed in the cottages. They did college, they did school there, and so they had different, you know, gang fights and things like that. But there's one thing that stood out to me. I was there in the summertime in the cabins.
Yeah.
And I yelled out. We were trying to get the kids to make their beds and get ready for food, and you know we had our program that you had to do. And I just yelled out, "Man, y'all need some daddies." And one of the kids yelled out, "Rest in peace." He's actually a kid that I mentored for a long time. Unfortunately, he was killed last year. But he yelled out and he said, "If I had my dad, I wouldn't even be here." And it touched me, man. It touched me because to understand, and I think this is something that, and I'm not sure how deep it goes when you do police academy training, things like that.
Yeah.
But to understand, have that empathy to delve deep into that.
Yeah.
Because there's hurt in that pain in that background. 90% of the time, in my opinion, there's hurt right there.
Big time.
You can sit down and you talk to these kids. You got tattoos on your face, things like that.
Yeah.
There's a person behind that. You see this hardcore, and once you break that down and see that, man, there's somebody in there that needs to be talked to. There's somebody in there that needs to have some empathy. There's somebody in there that I know you and I are believers in the Lord. Somebody needs to be witness to.
Yeah.
So I just really, I empathize with that community. I love working with that population.
Yeah, no, and we need more of that. Like
Yeah.
we really do, we need more than just like these generalized like wannabe political solutions.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's one of the biggest things, man, is that the lack of fathers within our communities, both brown and black.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think that we talked about this the other day. We're having a conversation with my wife, and we're talking about the importance of identity. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
how a lot of the identity truly does stem from our fathers.
Sure.
Like whether we know that or not. Like,
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
No, I agree with you, man. I think a lot of the things I've taken on, a lot of characteristics comes from my dad.
Yeah.
My wife tells me all the time. She's like, your dad had a huge part in your life if you really recognize it. Because there's a lot of things that I do and I don't do. It's like, this is what a man's supposed to do because this is what I was taught.
Yeah.
There's certain situations. A situation one time where it's like, if a man has a problem with my wife, that man better talk to me first.
Right.
And she's like, where do you get all this stuff from? It's like, this is what I was taught. My dad, like, he puts it down. So when it comes to identity, it's like a lot of the principles that I stand on is from my dad.
Right.
And it's very true, man. So a man's role in his son's life is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And yeah,
and I think that that's one of the things that needs to be more addressed, that needs to be more talked about is we really need to, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of society shies away from.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Is that like they don't want to talk about like the true root cause. Because I look at that, I look at like the people that I grew up with, I want to say probably 90% of the kids that, it's probably a group of 10 of us.
Yeah.
Out of those 10, probably only 2 of us had their dads with them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And the rest, you know what I mean? Like, their fathers were either in prison or they weren't in the picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, you know what I mean? Like, a mom nurtures. I really feel like the mother figure is the more nurturing figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where they nurture, a lot of areas within, even male and females. Mm-hmm. But I feel like at the end of the day, like that confidence, that identity, that love, that respect that we desire, it truly does come from the father figure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I do have some beliefs in the background of that. We should, especially as minorities, should take responsibilities of things that we do.
Yeah.
But I do have some thoughts behind like the welfare system, behind the private prison system, and just how we are wrongfully incarcerated. Your race and my race, the welfare system where if you have a 2-parent household, you weren't eligible for welfare. So what do? The husband or the father is removed from the household to try to get that financial relief.
Yeah.
But is it systemic? Is this something that they're trying to push on us? And I know it gets really deep behind that. Yeah. But man, I know it's a systematic thing that's targeting our communities.
Yeah. And even when you say systematic, I think that because sometimes like it's exactly that, it's a system. And I think that sometimes in the systematic way, maybe. Because some people can argue, well, I don't really believe that's the true intention. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's say that it's not the true intention.
Sure.
But when you do systemize something, it's something that can just become repetitive.
Absolutely.
And I think that's I think you are going somewhere with that because, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, like, why can't we? And I know it's a long shot. Sure. And I know that there's no easy fix because like when you get down to it, each situation does need to be individualized.
Yeah.
Each situation does need to get individualized. There are some people that, do need that extra help. You know what I mean? Man. Like, even with both parents, you know what I mean? Like, they need that extra help. They need that extra assistance just so they can get by so that eventually they can do better.
Absolutely.
But then there is that other part where sometimes people do take advantage of that. You know what I mean? So I think it's very hard sometimes like for people to, or like the I don't want to say like the makers of this system, you know what I mean? But like the people who kind of control that area, man. I think sometimes like it's a difficult thing.
It's very difficult, man. And it's just even down to, like I said, private prisons.
Yeah.
So private prisons, that means that it's a business. So if it's a business and I make the most money off of imprisoning the most amount of people, how do I do that? Do I make the laws harsher for those who are, and not that I'm advocating for it, those who are selling weed, and now weed is legal.
Yeah.
At certain aspects around it. Why are they still in prison?
Right.
It's still a business. So you need to create repeat customers, and their repeat customers are prisoners.
Yeah.
So it's just there's certain aspects around that, man. I know it gets deep, but
Yeah, it does. It really does, man. Like, because there's so much to it, man. That because I think about that too, and I think that one of the harshest thing, man, that a person can go through is when they do end up in that. You know what I mean? When they do end up in the prison system, and I've seen good people that they wouldn't hurt a fly,
man.
You know what I mean? And yeah, maybe they end up doing something and end up going to prison. And I've seen, they were supposed to only do 6 months to a year, turn into them doing 5, 6, 7 years.
Tacking on time.
You know what I mean? Because once you get in there, there's a whole system of politics even
Right.
within there. Because it's just people are adapting, to whatever's available to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got inmates that say, well, okay, I'm here. I got to adapt.
Yeah.
They don't want to become the victim. So what happens is that they join the predators.
Absolutely.
They join that population of like, okay, well, whatever I have to do, and they get into these prison politics and everything like that, and it just becomes a repetitive cycle.
Absolutely.
Repetitive cycle, man.
I think that's our responsibility.
Yeah.
Is trying to, and that's like my life goal outside of my own kids. My life goals is like, I want to step in for those kids, those at-risk kids, especially like my nonprofit we're going to kind of pivot into a new aspect to where we can offer these skills. If you're busy, you have these skills, you have something you can make money off of. Because let's face it, I mean, at San Bernardino, Rialto, you have these impoverished areas that need a tangible skill.
Yeah.
Barbering, coding, electrician, plumber.
Yeah.
That's like my goal. I'm gonna get that. We're gonna get those kids.
Yeah.
They're gonna walk away from high school with the. They don't have to go to college.
Yeah.
Some people are not built for college.
100%.
So we're gonna grab those kids. We're gonna give them a skill.
Yeah.
And make them better contributors to society.
Yeah.
100%,
man. I love that, man. And hey, man, Offbeat Podcast is right here,
hey,
bro.
man,
You know what I mean?
sure, bro.
Hey,
for sure.
Because that's one thing that we've talked about here is that, and I know we've even made posts about that where we want to be able to try to, draw people from the community,
Yes,
adults, young men, young women,
Yes,
to come and learn podcasting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's not just podcasting, it's not just talking behind the mic, but there's video editing involved. There's like shooting cameras, there's lighting, and all those are skills.
Yeah.
Those are all skills. Honestly, those are all skills that we're leaning towards the future. Like if you notice, man, like short content, long form content, like that's what everyone is leaning.
Absolutely.
Businesses, they're getting out there through social media. You know what I mean? Like businesses are looking how to improve their social media appearance. Like, like that whole genre, man, is just like, bro, it's exploding, man. So I would love to, bro. Like
Hey,
if
man,
you ever want to partner with that,
my
like
mind is moving right now. Bro. I want to do that
yeah.
because if I could walk away knowing how to make money, as a child, and I know that my parents are struggling, my mom is struggling, but mama have something. Oh man, we could, we'll definitely be talking off camera.
Yeah, man. No, and it is possible, man. Because like we even talked about it a little bit right now, man. Like, because you were like, man, do you have a background in editing and video? And I was like, nah, man. I was just a gang member, bro. Like I was just a gang member. I was just, dealing drugs, using drugs, man. I had only thing I knew how to do was turn on a computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like search for things I shouldn't be searching.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And burning CDs through LimeWire, man. Like that's all I knew how to do. You know what I mean? But, there's a song, man, that I forget who sings it, but I love what he says, man. He's like, I think the words go like, man, the smartest, most talented of our raza, they're all dead or messed up in a messed up tranza. And what that means is like, the smartest, most talented of our people, they're either dead or locked up because of some twisted deal.
Man.
And that's so true, bro. Like, like most of our people, man, like, and young people, you know what I mean? Like that are caught up in these communities, man, that are caught up in these communities that we've come from. You know what I mean? Like they're the most smartest. They're the most talented. They're the most good-hearted, man. You know what I mean? Like I know people, man, that have come from the background that I've come from, that they'll take their shirt off
Yes.
their back for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's all because, you know, some morals, these respects,
Yes.
you know, certain values that they learn. But it's just that, man, they just had bad guidance, man.
Man, and it's so funny you said that, because I was talking to my wife about that. I said, you know how smart like these young gang members are and stuff. I went to going to Carter. There's different gang members. Man, I'm telling you, I hated math. So I had this guy in my class, Petey. Petey would come to class, but he wasn't in class the weeks before. We have a test, and I'm studying my butt off, man. I'm going to extra periods. I'm coming after. I come get a 76. Petey come to class that day. I remember watching his test. What you getting your test? 93. It's like, bro, how? There's so much potential in there, but we don't always see that.
Yeah.
And being able to recognize that is something that's very important.
Yeah, I know, and we need to work together, man. We need to stop listening to mainstream media. I think that's big, man.
Agreed.
We need to stop listening to them, and we need to really focus on what our communities need.
Agreed.
Because the moment we start, you know, focusing on what, you know, for example, you know, like when the whole defund the police thing was happening, you know what I mean? Like, you know, one of the things that I understand what kind of the motive was behind it.
Sure.
But people were just taking it to a whole nother extreme, you know what I mean? And where it's like, no, wait a minute, man. Like, you live in some, you know, Midwest, you know, town, you know what I mean? Like, where you might not have a lot of crime. I live in San Bernardino.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your propaganda might work over there, but it's not going to work here.
No.
And I have no political motive. Like, we're looking out for my community.
Absolutely.
I'm looking out for where I live.
Absolutely.
I'm looking out for where I have my family living.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking out for that. You know what I mean? And I'm established in my city. I'm established here. You know what I mean? And so we need to stop listening to all these things, and we need to really start working together on what, you know, because that's what's going to change lives, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, I look back on the it was a probation officer, you know, / counselor that saw the potential in me, that said, hey, man, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, you're smarter than this. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, why are you taking all these like classes? You know, just focus on getting your high school diploma, focus on getting your GED. And if it wasn't for that, you know what I mean? But look who it was. It was like, it was an officer. It was a sworn officer that, you know, people might say, nah, that, you know, but no, like, I look at the good, I look at the positive. Like, yeah, there might have been some negative, but at the same time, there are people within the community that have to perform a job, but at the same time, they're also looking out for the good outcome of our generation. If it wasn't for people like that, man, who knows where I would have ended up. You know?
And it's important for me, because it's especially when I hear grown-ups speaking to children. Yeah, what we say to children is important. I think one of the biggest things for in high school. Shout out to Coach Wolf. I don't know wherever you are, Coach Wolf, but my senior year, played basketball. I didn't get a scholarship. It was just big. People were asking me and things like that. Yeah. And Coach Wolf was like, where are you going next year? And I'm like, I didn't get a scholarship. I'm just going to go to Laverne, got accepted, blah, blah, blah. He's like, it's all right. Don't worry about it. You're going to be just fine. I know it. Yeah. Those words stuck with me. At 18, I'm 34 now. Those words stuck with me. And so the words that we put into those kids' minds, the words that we say to them, how we relate to them, is important, man. It's huge.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Yeah, we need to speak. We need to be able to speak life into our communities.
Life, man, for sure.
Yeah, man. And so this, so with the Good Man movement, you know, that's something. How did that start? You know, I know you kind of touched on it, but how did it really start? How did it really come about, you know, you saying, man, this is something I want to really lean into? Yeah,
so for me, my dad, at our church when I was younger, he started a mentoring program just with the older men and the younger boys getting together and things like that. So I think it was already bred into me, not knowing it. Came to my youth pastor and I told him, like, hey, I want to start a youth program, a young boys men's program. And so what we did was we did like SAT prep. We did interviews, job interviews, things like that. And so just kind of equipping them for life. And so we did that for about 6 years. All the funding came out of my church and things of that sort, and it really was helpful. We was able to give like $500 scholarships, things of that sort. Once I started the gym, I had to kind of shut it down. And so right now I'm in a season of just trying to bring it back. And like I said, you know, off camera, I want to bring it back to a point where I can give tangible skills.
Yeah.
I totally understand how everybody goes to college. And even if you do go to college, if you went to college and you're able to make money,
Yeah.
because we're broke, we're
Yeah.
college students. And I just think it's very important, man. I think there's an aspect that's missed with kids.
Yeah.
And my goal, man, I'm not shy to say it. My goal is to put the American career colleges, the DeVry's, out of business, man, because I want to be able to offer this to you so you can,
Well,
go right out.
They're already going out of business, man. They're already like.
So I'm going to be that catalyst even further then.
Well, these colleges, these private colleges, bro, like they're a lot of them are coming out to be scams, bro.
Yeah, man.
That you see all the I don't know if you've noticed, they're like DeVry recently, they won a class action suit against DeVry.
Okay.
And I guess so anyone who went to DeVry,
man,
I think you can go to the I don't know which one. It's like it's the student financial aid administration, something like that.
Okay.
I'll even put the website there. Like I'll look for it.
Yeah.
But I think you can go, and if you went and you paid money or you got tuition or you have loans from there, they actually just approved. They won in favor.
Wow.
And so I guess they're going to be refunding and paying off all those loans.
Wow.
And then if you paid out of pocket, they're going to be refunding that back to you. Because it turned out to like it was
fraudulent education.
Yeah, man. Because they were, like for example, like if you wanted to be a cop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they would like, come to our program. You know what I mean? Like, after 9 months, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be in law enforcement.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the truth is, man, all you got to do is just apply.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
they'll give you all the training.
Yeah,
and they'll pay for training.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to, but because these schools were charging like, bro, like 30, 40, 50, $60,000 for, you know what I mean, education that wasn't even needed.
See, and the goal for situations like that is like, you don't pay us. Your payment is your attendance.
Yeah.
While you're in school, your payments is your attendance and your grades. If you can produce those, we're going to give you all the skills that you need.
Yeah.
And actually walk away with a cosmetology license. And I'm speaking all of this into existence as it's being worked on, but I'm a true believer in what's about to happen.
Oh yeah.
It's going to happen.
Oh yeah, that's big, man. That's big. Cause shout out to all the cosmetologists and to
for sure.
barbers, bro.
For sure.
Bro, like I have mad respect for so many of them, because a lot of them are there was a time where it was just looked at, they cut hair.
Yeah.
But now, bro, like you got people that, man, have this entrepreneur spirit.
Absolutely.
And their haircut, they're taking it to a whole nother level.
And tell me how it's not going to, and you're looking at these different things projected to be taken over by tech. You can't take this over.
You can't.
It has to be a person that's cutting your hair. It has to be a person that's doing your hair.
AI cannot touch my head.
That's
bro.
it. You won't touch mine. I'll tell you that.
Heck
Especially
no,
with me
man.
losing my hair.
No, yeah, I'm facts, bro. That's facts, man. I'm 100% with that. So it's all these skills, man. That and I love that, bro. Like that's one thing that we need to. And I feel like we're in agreement with that passion, bro. That
Yes,
to really bring in young people to have skills, to not just throw them out into this world. Because like another thing, man, is like I don't want to bash it too hard, but let's see where it goes. But like our education system, man.
Okay.
Like how do you feel about like our educational system here?
I feel
like our public school system.
Yeah, I get it. I feel as if I don't know the right word to say for it, but I don't believe in it. Yeah. Somebody put on Twitter a couple of days ago, I'm 34 years old and just rolled another check from my mortgage. Still haven't used the Pythagorean theorem. And I'm like, for real, bro, for real. We haven't used it. And I think that it's systematic again.
Yeah.
I don't know what the end goal was when it was created. And so I'm very meticulous. Like my wife and I are actually vetting schools right now for my 5-year-old's going to go to first grade next year.
Yeah.
And trying to understand, like, I want her to go off and understand how to make money.
Yeah.
How to, pay bills. Yeah. I have a full master's degree, and I knew nothing coming out of college. Started self-made, and I feel like after my whole self-made experience, I got a doctorate in business. But they didn't teach me anything in college.
Yeah.
But they took my money, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. It's not saying don't go to college. I'm just saying that there's a way, and we should be very methodical in the way that we try to get an education. What are we getting educations in? Things like that,
Yeah, man. And dude, it's a real, and I get you, man. I feel you on that so much because Like right now we have young kids, you know what I mean, that are right now they're in the public school system. And man, lately we've been getting a lot more involved than normally we were.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so we've been seeing things, man, of like how they deal with situations that, man, we're just kind of like, man, you know what? Like you said, it's this systematic way of learning.
Absolutely.
That they don't take in their personalities into consideration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason, like we're entertaining the thought right now too of like, man, what should we do? Like, do we want to keep them there, or do we really want to homeschool?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, like, private school is not really something, within our budget right now.
Right.
If it were, we'd probably entertain that. But we're like, man, you know what? Like, we're honestly entertaining that thought because, like I recently had a situation with my son, and oh man, it got me so upset, man, because I ended up going to the parent-teacher conference, and I have no doubt that this teacher is a great teacher. I have no doubt that they have great intentions, and that's why I want to be careful on how I I'm not really trying to bash anyone in particular.
Sure.
But I just feel that the situation it was dealt with in the wrong way, and so. What ended up happening was that that was kind of one of the first things that she opened up the conference with was like, oh, you know what? I wanted to give you this. And it was a referral. It was a referral from my son. And she's like, yeah, this happened last week. And, the first thing that came from her was like, yeah, he tried to strangle another student in the bathroom. And so right away, I was in shock.
Sure.
Bro. You know what I mean? Like, this is my son. This is my 8-year-old son. I was just, concerned, angry at the same time, just a lot of mixed emotions that I went through. But at the same time, I'm like, there was just something in me. I'm like, that doesn't sound like my son though.
Right.
Like I know, I'm not saying that I know everything about my son. Like I understand that there's things that we can miss as parents, but that doesn't sound like my son. Like I know him to the point where he's not just going to, and because I asked, I'm like, did something provoke it? Did something happen? And she's like, no, well, I asked. And he just said that he just did it, because somebody did it to him. And then she asked like, oh, was it in school? And that he was like, no, outside of school. And so she was like, okay, well, you need to talk to your parents, like this and that.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like, that doesn't sound like my son, man.
Right,
Like, I know my son is rough.
Right.
Like, I know how he is. He's playful.
Right.
You know what I mean? But so anyways, man, I'm like, you know what? So being a dad, man, like after the conference and everything, I went to, I had my son and I had my daughter go inside and I just one-on-one in the truck with him. And I'm like, hey, Papa, like, look, I got this referral.
Yeah.
Like I know what happened.
Yeah.
I just want you to tell me what happened and why. Like that's all I want to know. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I just want to understand.
Yeah.
And so he told me what happened, and I just told him one more time. I'm like, okay, buddy. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I just want to make sure, like, that is that really what happened? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you willing to go back and say that to the teacher? And so what he ended up telling me was that all he did was like that they were in the bathroom, boys being boys. He grabbed another boy from back here and was just like massaging him and just like, squeezed his neck a little bit.
Right.
But it wasn't strangling. And so I'm like, and he does that to me.
Yeah.
Like he does that to me. He does that to my wife. Like it's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds like him.
Yeah.
So I went back. I'm like, okay, we're going to go talk to your teacher. Because if that's what you're saying, I don't understand why she's saying that. So went back, talked. Turned out she's like, oh, no, I didn't know that. This is the first time that I'm hearing this. And I said, well, I'm like, okay, well, I gave her still the benefit of the doubt. And I still looked at my son. I'm like, hey, buddy, if anything ever happens again, I'm telling you, you need be honest. Just be open about it. Explain to them exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then so, and so she, she was like, yeah, you know what? But I did tell her, I was like, do you understand why I'm concerned about this, though? I addressed him, but I'm addressing you now with all due respect, but you did not do your due diligence.
Absolutely.
And then she tried to like blame another educator, saying that she was the one that performed the final investigation. I said, okay, I'm going to go talk to her.
Right.
So what did I go do? I went to go talk to the other person. And it turned out that the other person was like, oh, no, yeah, that's what he told me. And I said, so why is it written here? Why does this referral here? And not just that, why does the teacher saying that to me at this parent-teacher conference that just happened 30 minutes ago?
Right.
So what you're telling me, number one, is you guys are writing misleading information.
Absolutely.
The second thing is you guys are not communicating that to the teacher. If that was your final investigation, if that was the final outcome, why doesn't she know about that?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what you're doing, right? What you're doing is you're mislabeling our children.
Absolutely.
You're mislabeling them. So you have an 8-year-old boy that if he hears that that's what he's doing, when all he's doing is just horse playing, given the fact, if he's supposed to keep his hands to himself, I'm 100% in agreement with that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But let's not talk about strangling.
Yes.
Let's not talk about that. You're mislabeling our children, and then you're not doing. And she's like, no, it's because I didn't write that referral. And I said, well, who did? It's like, well, it was the teacher. I was like, well, then why is the teacher telling me that she didn't have anything to do with this? I said, you guys need to tighten this communication up, and this needs to stop.
See, and the thing is, that's what needs to happen too, because you are an advocate for your child.
100.
And it's unfortunately, we don't have kids out there don't have their advocates. So when you say strangulation, now this kid is labeled like that. Now this kid is starting to believe, okay, if you guys think that I'm angry and I'm violent, I'm gonna start being angry and violent.
Exactly.
And that's so there's a responsibility from a parental side. We put that responsibility on our kids, but there's a responsibility to the school system as well, to where you don't label my kid as strangle is a strong word.
That's a very strong word.
And so
bro, so I was lit, bro. I was so mad, and I try to address them because I didn't want to be the angry Mexican. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I addressed them with the most utter respect as I could.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, man, like I just felt like, no, like first of all, you're a public teacher.
Absolutely.
So I live in this area. I pay tax dollars. You know what I mean? Like so at the end of the day, we do have our right to speak this. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And so it just really, because like afterwards I went home and I talked to my wife and I explained to her the situation. You know, I had to calm down a little bit by talking to her because I really was upset. Of course. And you know, but I said, man, you know what's sad though? This is what's sad, Justin, is that, okay, I took it that way. And I was able to get to the facts. But bro, how many single moms, how many parents, bro, there's so many parents that I just think back at, if my parents were to have gotten that referral, bro, it would have been beat down first, questions later.
Ask questions later.
Or beat down, no questions.
Sure.
And then the thing is, but who are the first people to call caseworkers and to report child abuse? Who are the first ones? The educators, because they supposedly like have that responsibility.
Absolutely.
They have that responsibility from the moment they write that referral. Those are the things that they should be thinking about. They should be thinking about, you know what I mean, like what they're doing and how they're handling this situation, because they're dealing with children's lives. And they don't understand that some of these kids aren't going to go home to both parents. They aren't going to go home to a healthy life. They're not going to go home to a healthy mom, to a healthy dad. They might be going home to a parent that is struggling with mental health issues. They might be going home through these things, and they might become a victim of child abuse now because of what? Because of a referral that was not thoroughly investigated.
Absolutely, man.
You know what I'm saying? So so I was like, man, like, you know what I mean? Like
I hear you, man, because I mean, fortunately, my dad, I mean, we talked about him a little bit off camera, but so hardcore, but he's an advocate for his children. And so if something happened, we get in trouble, he's gonna be like you. We're gonna fully investigate this. If I need to whoop my son, I will. But if y'all gonna put some dirt on his name, or something that's gonna happen that I don't agree with, all hell's gonna be raised loose, you know?
Right. So. Yeah. We need to protect our children, man.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that's one of the things that nowadays, like, a lot of people or a lot of parents feel like they don't have the right to. You know what I mean? But I think there is a correct way to do it. You know what I mean? And that's why we're really entertaining the thought, you know what I mean? Because it's not just that. It's just that, you know, like my son, he's very active. Like, he's very active. He's impulsive. Like, he's playful. He's into sports.
Most
like,
boys are all that.
Which most boys are. Exactly. You know what I mean? But that's where I'm like, you know, like, because he's a good reader. He's good in math. Like, he just got an award today for math.
Good, man.
So he's good at numbers. He's you know what I mean? But then when it comes to certain things, they're like, oh, he's falling. And I'm like, well, isn't there a different way? Like maybe that's just not his style of learning.
And that's what I'm talking about, man. If you listen to, I like to listen to a lot of podcasts, but let's listen to a story that Jamie Foxx gave.
Yeah.
So much, like he has so much energy, but he had one teacher that was like, look, you do good in class. The last 10 minutes of class, you could do your whole stand-up set. So he was like, okay, I'm going to be good in classes. I'm ready to tell all these jokes because I can't hold it in. I got ADD and everything. And it's like, but you have those educators that can recognize like, look, this kid, this is what he is. And he's making millions of dollars off of all that ruckus that he was putting up. For us to understand each child, especially in our own home, understanding exactly what each child gives.
Yeah.
I can't yell at my youngest daughter because she is just like, a look is going to set her off. But just having that understanding of who you're dealing with. And I think that's something our education system needs to implement as far as training our teachers, educators, So
100%, man. Yeah, because we need to. Yeah, it's something's got to change, man. Something's got to change, and I'm just glad like that. Like it made me feel good because afterwards I looked at my son. After we left the office and everything, I looked at my son and I told him, I was like, look, son, I was like, I want you to know something. Like I love you so much, and you're not anything that was talked about, you're not any of those things. You had a moment where you were playing around, and I will tell you this, like you should keep your hands to yourself. Just it's better. I was like, and all these other things, that's not who you are. And I told him, I was like, and as long as you're truthful with me, I will always have your back.
That's it.
Always have your back, and I want you to know that. And he just looked at me and he's like, okay. And then I'm like, because that's me. Like I'm not gonna advocate for what the wrong that he's doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like hey, if there's something that needs to be corrected, I will be the first.
Yes, sir.
My wife knows that.
Yes.
My wife knows that. Like I'll be the first to correct it. I'll be the first to address it, But at the same time, like and I think it a lot of it does stem from, and that's why like I believe so much in rehabilitation and recovery.
100%.
That's why I believe in fathers being able to be restored and being recovered and being, going back with their families and things like that. I'm so huge on that because we have even through those bad experiences, because I think that's what it stems from a lot of my experiences as a child and how teachers dealt with me, like that sort of trauma kind of is in me. Sure. And so it just kind of gives me that protective impulse where I'm like, no, you're not going to say that to my child.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like not in my house.
Yeah, and then, man, that's so great for you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That and the words that we put into our kids, man, the words that you constantly just feed them, like you're not this, you are this. I have my daughters, I give them, I say, you are beautiful. They say, I receive that. I love you. I receive that. Mommy loves you. I receive that. You're smart. I receive that.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm going to brainwash my own kids to know that, you are somebody.
Yeah.
You are strong enough.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping and praying for that for others outside of our homes and things like that.
Yeah. So. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. That's great words of advice right there, man. It's just what you're speaking into. And then do you ever, with the school system and with everything that's going on, even right now in culture, like what kind of fears do ever arise within you? You know what I mean? Like,
I'll be honest with you. Like one of my biggest fears is like, I say all this in love, but one of my biggest fears is like even looking at situations like Dwayne Wade's son, or they say daughter, and he or she has made that transition. But also, I have a fear of my kids being brainwashed into something that they're not even fully ready to receive. They're not fully ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
I have prayers for my kids, but I don't want them to be able to make decisions. If you can't drink, if you can't go to war yet, how you get to choose your gender right now? Right. How do you know what you're feeling?
Right.
By 26, your frontal lobe, which helps with all your decision making, has just formed. So you're saying at 12, 13 years old, that child can make that decision.
Yeah.
And it's all in love. But at the same time, I mean, there's a documentary on YouTube right now that talked about I know this is going to get deep.
Yeah, no, let's do it.
But there's a documentary right now that shows a journey of like these 50, 60-year-old men and women who chose to make a gender transition back in the day when they were younger than 18.
Yeah.
Those type of situations has caused them when they found out, like, wait, I'm really not like this.
Right.
It was just a point in time in my life that I thought maybe that was, or somebody told me that. Now they're regretting it. Now they've cut off or added certain things or taken different hormones that's kind of messed up their bodies.
Right.
And so my biggest fear for my children is the information that they're going to get, because I'm not oblivious to know that they're with their teachers and the people that are around for 30 plus hours a week.
Right.
6 hours a day, 5 days a week, 30 plus hours.
30 plus.
And then I come home for 1 to 2 hours. We take baths, we eat, and we get to bed. But I've given you 10 hours for that week.
Yeah.
And so my biggest fear is that they're influenced to something that they look back and they're like, that's not really what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. No, man. And it's, dude, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
I feel you on that a lot, man. And that's something that, you know, my wife and I, we've recently been talking about a lot too, where, you know, and it's kind of like right now I've been like in my mind, I've been brewing where I need to have more intentional conversations with my kids.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because the other day we listened to a podcast and what's the podcast called?
At Home with the Beers?
Yeah,
Okay.
at home, and real good. And I really love and they were talking about that, about like breaking the ice and talking about sexuality with our children.
Sure.
And you know, when is it appropriate? When is it not? You know, and I love what the dad was saying. He said, "Man, you know what?" He's like, "We really got to think about how we were in that age."
Yeah.
And the type of information that was coming to us already at that age. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, that's so true, man. Because I started learning about, you know, sexual things, man, as soon as like 6, 7 years old.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? And but I think because like I learned a lot of bad things,
Sure.
you know, and a lot of like, you know, not good things, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, man, how do I have these conversations, man? You know what I mean? But the truth is that what he said, he's like, look, you know, our kids, man, they're being exposed to all these different ideas, all these different conversations. You know, once they have a phone, you know, all these information that they're getting on the phone, text messages from other students, from other kids, their friends, you know, like, you know, they're having all this information. If we're not their number one trusted source, then guess what? They're going to look for that trusted source in other avenues. So that's one of our biggest fears too, man.
And that's, I mean, it's so key, because looking at that, like even my kids are younger than yours, being 5, but they have their YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And there's things that are on there, man, and it's like, I know you're going to know. I know you're going to see it. I'm not oblivious to know that I was 5, 6 years old. I'll be, you know, when they're 12. I'm not oblivious to that.
Yeah.
But understanding, and I think still understanding and explaining in a calm way.
Yeah.
And not being so thrown off guard by it.
Yeah.
You know, because I think once us as parents, we're such in a roar, like, wait, no, this is bad. Everything is bad. It's like, let's calm down.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we don't believe in this. This is what we believe. This is why we believe it. And, you know, and hopefully, you know, we train up a child in the way they should go.
Yeah.
They won't stray. So that's what we're hoping for, that will occur, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that approach. I love that approach. And that's so true, is the calm factor.
Yeah, man.
Because like, yeah, like I'm many times I'm a react first.
Me too. Me too, man.
So I'm like, what? Like, no, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I think that does throw our kids off. Like, I know it's thrown my kids off, because it can come off like, oh, you know what? Daddy's mad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have to come back and be like, no, I'm sorry that I reacted that way. It's not that I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
It's just that the situation is just kind of, you know what I mean? So it's something that I'm definitely working on.
Yeah.
But it's something that I'm definitely there in agreement with you, man, just, and I think that just goes back to, like, you know, we really, as parents, like, we really have to we really have to set that boundary to be like, no, like, at the end of the day, I'm the main teacher for my child.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And what you decide to teach or what you don't decide to teach, like, yeah, that's cool. But at the end of the day, like, I should be able to be in that conversation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like how what is being taught, like what is this? Like you can't just share these ideas just because you feel like as an educator you have the right to do it. You know what I mean? I think that at the end of the day, like we have to be able to have that right, you know what I mean?
Right.
To speak on certain things and be like, you know what, like, you know, I appreciate the idea, like you said, all in love. Like I appreciate the idea, but you know what? That's a no for me.
Absolutely,
that's a no for my child. That's a no for us. You know, you know what I mean? Like I think we have to be more active in fighting, you know, for those type of things, man, because the ideologies and all that stuff that's going on right now, it's different from when I went to public school, and I'm sure it's different.
For sure.
It's different.
For sure. And I think for me, I'm glad that we had this platform to say, because it's like I've been struggling with it past maybe 6 months and just saying stuff on my social media. But just because I don't agree doesn't call it hate speech.
Exactly.
I can love you. I have one of my former bosses, and I know we're getting to that. One of my bosses is a gay man.
Yeah.
And cool people with me.
Yeah.
We don't have the same belief system.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I hate you.
Exactly.
I still love you.
Thank you for saying that,
I still
man.
love you, man.
Thank you for saying that.
So it's just,
that's so true, man. And it's because like now it's like if you have to agree with everything.
Yeah.
If
or
not,
it's hate.
It's hate. And it's like, no, it's not. Like I can be on either side of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Like there's things that I can agree with this, but I might not agree with that. But it doesn't mean I hate you.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean that I don't like you, because I'm the same way. Like I know people, some good people, some awesome people, man, that you know, lean towards that way of their sexuality.
Yeah.
And I got nothing but love for them.
Nothing but love.
You know what I mean? Like, do I share my faith with them? Maybe if they're open to it, great.
Yeah.
But if not, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna hate you.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm gonna like, you know, but it doesn't mean that I have to agree with you.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry like that. Maybe certain things or certain ideology you might not agree with, but at the end of the day, that's still my right.
That's it. Because it's just on the other side, it's just their right to believe what they believe.
Exactly.
So
and I think that's the common ground that, you know, we need to really like just come to, and there's things that look like you take your belief system, but let's keep education as education.
Absolutely. It should, yes.
You know, let's keep the education system for what it is, to educate, like, you know, as far as gender identity and as far as all this sexuality, that should be something that's, you know, that should be a conversation that's done at the home with the parents.
I don't know if you went through it, but sex ed, 7th grade, I believe it was.
Yeah. I think it was 6th grade for me.
Was it 6th grade? Okay.
Grade,
yeah. My parents had to watch the movie that they're gonna show for it, and then sign off for it. And if not, you could keep your kid home for that day when they showed that time.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to walk into for my daughter. I don't know what you guys have walked into for your kids, but we should be able to say, yep, we'll send the kids to school. You guys can go ahead and do that. If not, keep them home.
Yeah.
Go from there. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna walk into, man.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I recently saw a video of a parent, man, that was she was threatened to be sued just because she requested the curriculum from a school. I don't know what state it was in or anything, you know, and I don't know like how, you know, how extreme maybe the video could have been.
Sure.
But just that simple fact, like I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on that simple fact. So she requested the curriculum from the school, from a public school.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then they had her like go through a bunch of loopholes. And then when she finally got the curriculum, she started, she questioned them. And then they told her, no, you have to go through some other loopholes to ask questions about that. So they made her, so of course, like, you know, through going through all these different loopholes, what does that do to a person? It's like when you call customer service, man. You know what I mean? After the third, fourth person you talk to, you're like, bro, like,
I'm good.
Like, yeah, you're either good or you're like, get me on. You know?
Right. You're hot.
Or you're hot. Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, man, you better fix this right now. So, of course, man, like human nature is like, man, after so much, you're going to get frustrated.
100%.
You're going to voice yourself in a way where, so I guess what ended up happening is that they didn't they had a whole school board meeting where they addressed her, like just her, because of this. And I'm like, and then the teachers union, I guess, ended up filing a lawsuit, like a frivolous lawsuit against her. And it was all just for show. Wow. It was all just to put stress, to put frustration on the parent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that's, if that's as true as it is, like if that's 100% accurate, like as it is, and like regardless of like, let's put the political motivation, all that crap, let's put that to the side. If that's truly what all she did was request that, and they're giving her a hard time for that, that just goes to show that, man, you know what? This public education system has too much power. Yeah. You know, they're trying to strip the power away from the parents. You know what I mean? And I feel like especially our communities, like, you know, these lower income communities, you know, we have to look out more for that, because I feel like that's where the communities that get taken advantage of even more.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. You feel like you don't have that voice, but when those who know they have a voice, it's just like knowing the law. Yeah. It's like when we see, and it could be something that might just be from just my aspect, but when you see like maybe, you know, our Caucasians, brothers and sisters who have more of a knowledge of the law, who can say certain things and do certain things. Yeah. And it's like, how did they get out of that? It's like, we need to make sure that we're educated on exactly what we can and cannot do.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's like, man, how did homeboy get only 6 months probation, man?
There may be other aspects of it too, but
yeah. No, it's true, man. And you know what? And money. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you know, money is a big, I always say this, man, like, the only true privilege in this country is green. The true color of privilege in this country, man, is it isn't white, it's not black, it's not Mexican, it's money.
Hey, access to capital would get you in so many doors.
Exactly, man. I've seen people, literally situations like that, where how the heck you get 6 months probation, man, for that crime? Yeah. Money. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the color of their skin. It wasn't, they were able to pay for the representation, you know, proper representation, man. And it's sad that's what, you know what I mean? Like, it's sad that a lot of the things do come to that. Sure. You know what I mean? But more than anything, man, we have to use the voice that we have and really advocate for our kids, man. And all right, so going off, let's kind of like not sidetrack, but let's kind of go. So what led you to? That's a good conversation.
Yeah,
bro.
Man, for sure. I love it, bro. I really love it.
Yeah, it's good, man. But so you recently made a transition, right? Yeah. You were the owner right there at Self-Made Redlands, right? For sure. Great gym, man. Great gym, by the way, bro.
Thank you, man.
And you're the first owner, right?
Yeah.
First owner. So props for that, bro. Like, that facility was dope, man. Everything. So you recently made a transition to give it up, to sell it, right? Yeah. So talk about that, man.
Man, so I've always wanted to own a gym, and I've always wanted to own a barbershop. And so, you know, I went into that situation, met Miguel. He was Miguel's the CEO. Yeah. Opened his arms and was like, hey, man, you know, this is something you can do. And he explained the business model to me. And I was excited to do it, man. So we walked into that thing. Me and two of my business partners walked into it 2018. Okay. Opened our doors March 2019. And then we decided to expand and sign contracts a month before the pandemic started. So we went from 8,000 square feet to 25,000 square feet, man, and building during the pandemic and going up and down. And like I said, man, I feel like I got a doctorate degree in business because of all the things I've experienced. Yeah. And it was a great experience, man. It was not without its ups and not without its downs, because it had a lot that went into it. Yeah. For me, having my 5-year-old, having my 3-year-old, having my son on his way, it was time for a change. I loved every part of, even the good and the bad of it. I was able to experience people. I was able to experience contracts. I was able to experience insurances, everything you can think of. But it was time, and I felt like, you know, I was being led in a different way. I want to give more time to my kids, more time to my wife, and big props to my wife. I have millions of ideas. Yeah. She's like, okay, go ahead. And like, I can see it in her eyes. She's like, oh man, not another one. But she, you know, supported me throughout the time. Yeah. I carried a 9-to-5. I still carry a 9-to-5 throughout that process of owning the gym. Okay. So it would be morning time, workout, and then go to my 9-to-5, and then after the 9-to-5, go to the gym. And it was taking a toll. taking a toll, and I'm really thankful that I'm able to like really pour into my kids now. It's been about a month and a half, and I've just been like picking them up from school, man. I'm calling different gymnastics places, like, okay, we're gonna get the kids in there. And so I'm just thankful for that opportunity, and I'm looking forward to wherever else it takes me,
New venture,
So,
new venture.
yeah, bro.
That's dope, man. And how was it that you came about like in the fitness industry, man? Because
So-
I know you've competed yourself too,
Yeah,
right?
I competed, man. I competed. My first time was in 2018.
Okay.
And then I just competed last year in June.
Yeah.
And we looking, coach told me we're going to go up in September. So we're going to look like we'll go up again. But for me, I've always loved working out. I got background in basketball, playing basketball growing up.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've always wanted to own a gym, not knowing the aspects of it, but being the niche that Self-Made was, where it's a barbershop model. The trainer pays you to be in that space, and it was a cool model for me. And so being able to, I truly didn't believe that we could open that gym up, but I did everything from going through the SBA loan process to vetting different facilities and things like that. And so it was a good learning tool.
Yeah.
Very good learning tool.
Yeah.
Contracts and things like that, man. So
Yeah, and that's such a pool of wealth that you have now, man, that you're going to be able to pass on even through your mentorship program. Because those are things, man, that, again, they're not talked about in public school, man. Not even in college, not even universities, man. And that's what's so sad about it, is that you literally go into the real world, and when it's finally time to grind, you know what I mean? You're having to relearn. I mean, I understand education, like where, like I always say this, it's one thing to have education, but it's one thing to be educated.
absolutely.
And I think that, and the difference is that you can have a certificate, you can have a background, and go through the education system. But at the end of the day, someone who's educated, I feel, is someone who is actually able to take the tools and apply it to every situation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%,
And
man.
so,
Jeez, like you're right about that. It's like being able to apply that, because I look at it sometimes and I say, how come I didn't know coming out of college the difference between a C Corp and an S Corp? Like that should have been the easiest thing. Applying for an LLC and understanding the two differences.
Yeah.
Like, and I just now wrapped my head around the two at 34, not 21, 22 when I'm in college. And so, yeah, man, a huge learning experience, huge.
Yeah, and talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. Talk about that. Talk about, like, I know there's some people there that, too, like, they're probably like, there's a lot of talk about LLC, S Corp, C Corp, you know what I mean? And then, it sounds fancy, it sounds tight, it sounds cool, but like, why don't you break it down a little bit, what you've learned from that?
Yeah, man. So for me, in the most simplistic way, LLC is pretty much what separates you from your personal.
Yeah.
So your limited liability corporation, and basically you have your C Corp and you have your S Corp. Your C Corp, once you get taxed from a tax standpoint, you do your taxes every year in a W-2 when you have your regular job. If you have a C Corp, when you get taxed along with that same entity. So Justin gets paid $100,000 a year from his regular job, and then he gets paid $80,000 a year from his business. His taxes will be taxed together.
Okay.
When you have your S Corp, you have your W-2. Justin's going to be taxed from his regular job, and his S Corp is his own individual entity. And so the S Corp is going to be taxed on its own. The business will be taxed by itself. A lot of times what I'm learning is people who want to be investors and things like that, they like to see your company as an S Corp. They want to see you totally, completely removed from your business as an S Corp. They like, no, I don't want you to, if anything goes down, I don't want it to be George or Justin that is going to be associated with that business.
Right.
And so there's so many more different, and you have to figure out exactly what business that you'll go into, that you'll want. But there's so many different tax benefits, so many cons on each side.
Yeah.
So it's just looking at your business and figuring out which one do I want to go down.
Yeah. And that's what I always, and I love that you broke that down, because that's what I always try to explain to people too, is that, because some people think that, well, I have my LLC.
Right.
I was like, but you have to understand that your LLC is just how you're structuring your business, but it doesn't determine how you're going to get taxed.
That's it.
Because there's a lot of LLCs that are basically called single member LLCs.
Absolutely.
Where you do your taxes, and then you just attach a Schedule C.
There you go.
You know, under your LLC. It's pretty much you're still doing the 1040 form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But your business has the LLC attached
Yeah.
to it. So you are protected when it comes to like a liability issue. You are protected as a personal. But that's what I always tell people. I said that, you know, after you start making a certain amount of money,
Yep.
that's when you got to start visiting how you decide to be taxed. And that's where the S Corp and the C Corp comes in.
Why didn't we learn that, man, when we in
Exactly,
high school
bro.
and stuff?
You know, why is it that this ex-gang member right here is teaching people about LLCs, S Corps? Come on, man. Like,
Where would we have, how much further would we have been if we would have known that in our education system?
imagine, bro.
That boggles my mind, man.
Yeah, man. And it's so cool to learn those things. I get excited about those things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do
Yeah,
too. But I
man,
get
for
excited,
sure.
bro. Because it's like, yeah, like, and then because then that's I really believe that that's the difference sometimes of like it really is perspective and mentality, you know, because sometimes we can argue, we can fight, we can fuss about like, man, why doesn't the rich pay taxes?
Right.
Well, guess what, man? They are structured in the way to do it.
That's it.
But the truth is that the benefit that they're bringing into society is completely different.
Yep.
And the truth is, like, what if we had that power within us? What if we understood the tax system? What if we understood, like, but that's what we're taught. We're
That's
taught,
it.
hey, the W-2 way.
Yeah.
That's what we're taught.
That's it, man. And it's breaking that mold. I mean, I love my parents. My parents came from a society, a era of where, like, my mom was always telling us, get a county job, you can retire for 25 years, all that, man. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to walk out at 60 and die 15 years later. And it's like, you know, you've been working all these years. It's like, so that's for me is big. Like for my daughters, like I've opened up a custodial account for them. So it's like, by the time they're 18, I want them to walk into, you know, some money. And being able to manage that is huge, you know?
What is that? What's a custodial account?
So, like, for me, for each child, I open up a account for them on E-Trade.
Okay.
And so for them, I bought one ETF.
Okay.
And it was QYLD. So I think I put like $200 in each in their account, and it's residual income that would come in because I get paid dividends each year.
Okay.
Now, when I'm the custodial to keep it, because they legally can't have their own stock account.
Okay.
And so I'm the custodial of it. I continuously put money into it, and then once they get 18, they could take it over.
That's tight.
And my goal by that time is like, man, it's been 13, 15 years has been sitting here. Hopefully it has risen to a certain amount of money to get there, you know. I put life insurances on them that are pretty much life insurances that you can tap into later. I want to be able to have them be able to, like I started a business, but I needed down payment.
Yeah.
But I had to go to different people. My business partner was the one who took like a lot of the money and put the hard money in. But if you want to take a chance, a calculated chance, I want to be able to have $10,000 for each of you. Like here's your calculated chance.
Talk about that, bro.
Take
Talk
it, man.
about
You know,
that, man.
it's
Like that's how it should be, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's because what if they don't want to go to college, but they got the down payment,
That's it.
or they have the capital? Because that's what holds a lot of us back sometimes.
course.
Is like the capital. Where are we gonna? Man, we want to do this, but okay, we need a capital.
Absolutely.
We gotta, you know what I mean? And then we'll go apply for a business loan. The business loan denies you because your entity's not structured the correct way. You know what I mean? Or you don't have the how do you say the collateral, right? You don't have the collateral. You don't own any assets.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But those are the things that, man, we should just start a school, bro.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, man, let's talk, man. Being that education, that knowledge is huge. And that's what we need to get. So
it's so big, man. It's so big. Even like things like, man, like how to purchase your first home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those things are never taught, man. And so you got people coming out like not knowing where to start.
Yeah. You think the barriers of entry are so huge, and you're like, I only need 3.5%.
Exactly.
Or there's structures that help me. I forget the name of it. I was just talking to my brother about it. But there's programs out there that your down payment is like
Zero.
It's like, but we don't know about these things. We're not given access to this type of knowledge and information. You know?
Exactly. But then sometimes you try to share this, man, and this is where I get frustrated. My frustration is, man, you try to share these things, and people just look at you like you're talking in an ancient language, bro. Like you're like. And sometimes, man, I'm just like, man, I don't even want to share anything with anyone anymore. Like I'm telling you what to do and you don't do it.
But you know what the thing that I found? Because yes, you know the thing I found is that people turn around a couple years later and go, hey, weren't you talking about A, B, C, and D? Yes, I was trying to tell you about it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking. No, it's true, man. And it's like, yeah, man, I told you that, man. Like,
right. I tried to tell you that
can give props to someone else, but I told you that, man. But I, because I'm like that. I'm very passionate. Like just last night, I was a young couple, man. I was there and I was helping them prepare their taxes.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I was looking at their income, and then like their sister mentioned, like, I tell them that they should get a house, and I'm like, yeah, man, like. You guys make good money.
Yeah.
Like you guys should. Why not? I think they were like 24 years old. You know what I mean? Young, and they're making good income.
Yeah.
They're just married. I said, and they've been in the same job for like about 2 years already. 2-3 years. Well, he's been in the same job for like 2-3 years. I'm like, everything you need, you got it, bro.
Man.
I was like, you should do it. I was like, but you know what? I told them, the first thing I told them, I was like, look, man, don't talk to a real estate agent.
Man.
Don't talk to a real estate agent. I got love and respect for real estate agents.
Yep,
I do. I
love them.
I love you guys. I love you guys. But man, the truth is, man, that I was like, look, everybody and their mom is a real estate agent nowadays, man. I was like, no, go to the source. Go to a lender. Go to a broker. I was like, that's the first step. Go to them. Let them run all your financials.
Yes.
Let them run everything. Let them run your credit. And they're going to tell you in what shape you are. If you're not in shape to buy a home right now, they'll tell you, but you know what? They want your business.
So they're going to
tell you exactly.
Yep.
And then I'm like, and they were like, their eyes were just like open because they're like, this is the first time somebody's telling them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we didn't know that. We're just like, yeah, don't worry about because a lot of people are like, I'm going to wait to get it together.
Right.
No, man, don't. Even if you don't have it together, just go talk to a lender because they want your business. They want to close a deal with you. And if it's not now, they know that if they can win your trust in 6 months, in a year, they got that deal.
And most of the time, especially in society right now, the rents, I know some people, the rents are just as much as the mortgages, if
And
not more. It's crazy. And so it's like one of the guys I follow, his name is Jamal King. He's called himself the 9-to-5 millionaire. Every single person on this earth is involved in real estate.
Yeah.
Unless you're homeless, you are involved in real estate.
Yeah.
Whether you're renting, you're involved on the other side of real estate because somebody's getting you money from you.
Yeah.
If you're owning, you're involved in real estate. Something.
Directly or indirectly.
That's it, man.
It's
so
true,
you might
man.
as well be on the right side of things.
Exactly, man. And that's what, I think that's a big moving factor, even talking like kind of what we were talking about earlier about our communities and stuff. I think that's a big building block in our communities. We need more young men, young women to own homes.
Yes.
Because I think that's going to be like, I'm weird, but I like in our street where we live, we moved in back in 2016.
Okay.
We got our first home there, man. And we're blessed, bro. Blessed. It's not the nicest. It's not the best, but it's ours.
It's yours.
It's
yours.
It's a beautiful feeling. But in these last few years, man, what we've been seeing is a lot of young couples move in and buy these homes.
Okay.
And I get excited.
Yeah.
I get excited because I'm like, yes, that's what we need.
Man.
And I know like Yeezy, Yeezy, just to kind of reference him. I know a lot of people think he's crazy. I know a lot of people think like he's some of the things he says are kind of like out there.
Off the wall.
Hey, but low key, he's genius, bro.
Man.
To me, low key, he's got that genius gene in him, bro.
Yes.
And I think that's why, because every genius in history has had a little bit of
craziness
in him.
Einstein.
And it's because people can't, it's because I think there's so much genius trapped in them that they want to get this information out. And I think that in the moment it gets out, it comes out as crazy.
Absolutely.
But he said something so true. He said, man, like, he's like, because sometimes he challenges and he says like, when he talks about like black culture and stuff, he's like, man, we talk about this and we rap about this. He's like, but do we own the land?
Man.
Do we own the land? He's like, yeah, we own the change. Yeah. He's like, even the clothes, like, do we own the clothes?
Right.
Do we own the shoes?
Right.
Do we own the land? Do we own properties? Do we own real estate? And it's true, man. And I say the same thing for like my Hispanic community.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what we got to do, man. Like right now there's a big like narco culture, like where buy the truck and buy this and buy the chains and live that lavish lifestyle and make yourself look nice. But at the end of the day, man, like our communities, man.
God
Because-
ain't making no more land. God ain't making no more land. So go get as much as you possibly can.
There you go.
We can make clothes, chains, just like you said, but he's not making any more land.
Yeah.
And you are 100% right about that. That's the next goal, man. Is to
Yeah.
get some serious land.
Yeah.
No.
And I think that's what really, and I believe that it does something to kids. You know, when we're raising our kids in communities like that, you know, it does something to them because it makes them feel like this is their community.
Yeah.
And I think we need to take more pride in our communities
Yeah.
like that, you know, because it does start with simple things, man. Like, you know, when you go into a community where the houses are fixed up, what does that do to you?
Absolutely.
And why are they fixed up? It's because the people own them.
They own it. They own it.
Exactly.
Because
But
you want
go-
to take care of what you want to take care of what's yours.
Exactly. But you go to a community where everyone is just renting,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see the difference. You know what I mean? Like we got to move from a renter's mentality to a ownership mentality
Yeah.
in our communities, because I think that's going to not only boost our communities, it's going to boost our morale.
Yeah.
It's going to boost the morale of our children. You know, I believe it's going to do something to them where it's like, man, if mom and dad could do it,
I can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
And if they can do more, even better.
I agree with you, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Heck yeah, man. So yeah, man. So that's so now that self-made's out of the picture,
Yeah.
like as far as ownership wise, I know you probably still keep in touch with a lot of
for
people
sure.
there.
For sure.
Met a lot of good people there.
Yeah, met some good people, man. I've ran across some really good people.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah.
People that are not with self-made. There's still some people that are with self-made. That's like I've ran across some good people. And so yeah, man, I'm just looking for, I'm really looking for direction from the Lord now.
Yeah.
Figure exactly where is he want me in that area. Friend of mine and we started a trucking company. So we basically have 2 trucks on the road right now, and
That's dope.
just a blessing, man. And
That's tight.
And like I said, like after this, man, I can go pick up my girls from school.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing. I've had a different change of perspective. I still want that. I'm a big dreamer, man, and I want multiple homes. I want apartment buildings. I want that freedom. I want to take my wife to lunch whenever I want to, things like that, man. So I'm still striving for that, but I'm really waiting on direction, man. I think I moved really fast with self-made and getting into it, and it was the best thing to happen to me, even with all the struggles.
Yeah.
But I'm really waiting on direction now, and I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I'm super thankful.
That's cool, man. That's cool, man. Well, yeah, no, and I even see that you guys are part of a new church plant too, right?
Yeah, man. City
I saw
Connect.
that.
City Connect,
right
man,
there
over in Fontana.
Fontana, yeah.
Yeah, man.
The Sierra Lakes area?
Sierra Lakes Elementary School, Pastor Brian Wallace and his lovely wife Princess, and so it's just been a blessing, man. I think just in all honesty, man, I fell by the wayside for a couple of years, and I really didn't put my Christianity to. I wasn't really utilizing it. I really wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Lord had to wake me up in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah.
And it makes me emotional, but I'm thankful that, he didn't take me out or anything, but found my way back. The Lord brought me back, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of this. Not perfect by any stretch of imagination, man, but I'm just really focused on trying to get my relationship back with the Lord and just trying to get things right, man.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, man. And I love hearing stories like that because it gives hope not just to us, it gives hope to a lot of people that are out there that might be in the same situation where they feel like, man, I'm not utilizing my faith in the way that in the capacity that I should, or maybe I've neglected, some areas in my life. You know what I mean? And I know we even talked a little bit about that before the episode, where it's like when you were telling me that story, I was like, man, I feel you, man, because that was me, throughout mostly, like I want to say 2017 through like 2019 and 20.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until early 2021, after my grandma passed away, where I just really felt, God was like kind of waking me up.
Yeah.
Like kind of saying like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I still love you. And I know what you've gone through. And you know what I mean? And it just, but you're not in the space that you should.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a little transparent because I want to help people. October 24th, 2021, my wife came to me. She said she wanted a divorce. And that hit hard. And it was like, nah, it's time to get things the right way. It's time to get it right. And the Lord just dealt with me. He definitely dealt with me, and we're in a really good place right now. He didn't allow that to go down. She had every right to ask for that, and he turned things around, and I'm super thankful to the Lord, super thankful to her. Strong woman. Like she's not a woman of many words, but she's a strong woman, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for reconciliation. I'm thankful for the Bible. I'm thankful for stories in the Bible that have showed us that there can be restoration. And I'm thankful for people like her. And so I'm hoping people are encouraged, maybe going through stuff, man. I got to a point in my life in 2021 where it's just, I literally had to just take one step at a time, like literally. Because things were so bad where it's like, look, I'm just going to take this step, next step. What's the next thing you got to do? I got to take a shower. Okay, I'm going to take a shower. What's the next thing I got to do? I got to get to work. Okay, get to work. And so I'm praying for those who are out there dealing with stuff. And I'm just, man.
That's awesome.
You brought that out of me, George. That was tough, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that honesty and that transparency. Our world needs more of that.
Yeah.
You know, our communities need more of that because not everything is roses, man.
Not
you know
at
what I
all.
mean? And I empathize and I sympathize so much with you because, you know, there are a lot of similarities, you know, even in our stories, man, where, you know, God could have allowed for us to lose everything, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I think that sometimes I know sometimes people see Christianity and they see it in a negative light sometimes, but they don't understand that those that have experienced, you know, His love, that's what it is. It's been a deep sense of like, I don't deserve this, but yet He embraces us, you know, and that's such a beautiful reminder for us to remember that, you know, He takes us as we are.
Yeah, man.
You know, He takes us as where even with all those, I always say, man, there is nothing, we can never shock God.
Not at all. Not at all. I love it.
Yeah, we can never God, it's not like God's like,
Yeah, you did that?
really?
I didn't expect that one.
Yeah, you know, and that's the beautiful thing, man. And so, how about some last words of advice, man, for the listeners, man? If there's anything that you'd like to add, some last words of advice to them.
Man. No,
from the heart.
For me, man, and I'm not pushing my religion on anybody, but just take some time to sit down and listen to God.
Yeah.
Take some time to sit back and listen to God. This past 3 years has been chaotic from pandemics and things like that.
Yeah.
So for me, I've just been taking a lot of time just to sit back, take your time, you know, and things will get better. There's a huge, just suicidal population. I had a friend that took his life my sophomore year in high school, and it was just, sit back. Things will be okay. Things will change.
Yeah.
You know, continue to push forward, man, and I'm praying for you. I may not know your name, may not have ever met you, but I do a utilitarian prayer at times to where it's just like anybody out there dealing with stuff, I'm just praying for them. Yeah. So
that's what's up, man. And then how can they find you on social media? Justin._.D as in David __ Jerry. And I'm on social media, man. So reach out, say what's up, man. I'm willing to say what's up and things like that. I'm nobody special, so I'll definitely respond back. Yeah, no, you definitely are someone special, bro.
Appreciate that.
And I really appreciate it, man. And I'm gonna have all his links there in the description, right there in the description on YouTube. And so make sure you follow him. Make sure you follow the Good Man Movement.
Yes.
I'll also put that link down there.
For sure.
So that way, man, if you're in the area, if you're in the IE, and you wish to be a part, or somehow contribute towards this vision of mentoring the next generation, because we need that.
Yeah.
Like we really need that, man. Or, if you feel even led to, tell your story here on Offbeat Podcast.
There you go.
You got a story, man, that you say, man, I want to share it. Hit me up, man. I'm always on the, looking out for messages too, man. I'm always willing to say what's up. And, we just want to keep being a blessing, man. We just want to keep pushing this movement. Everyone has a story. Some people have it a little bit more offbeat than others.
There you go.
Some people have had some crazy things happen in their life, man. But today's conversation, man, it was so good, man. So good. I feel like we touched on so many things, man. And
man.
and I wish you and your family all the
man.
best, bro. Blessings on your life, your children, man.
Same here.
Josiah, who's on his way, right?
Young King on his way.
Yeah, young King, man. So thank you so much, Justin, man, for being on this episode with me. Thank everyone. Continue to, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button. You know, we're releasing content every single day on our social medias, releasing new episodes every week. And we have exciting things coming. And if you've thought about, man, you know what, how, you know, maybe you'd like to contribute, you know, I'm going to put our Venmo there. If you want to become a Patreon, I'm going to put the link right there too. Patreon, you can actually be part of a community, and, you know, you can decide how much you want to give on a monthly basis. You know what I mean? Just to keep us going. Everything that comes in, we reinvest it back into the podcast to make it better. And because that's what we want. Our goal is to get these stories out, to build a platform for people to tell their stories. People like you and me, just average people, man. You know what I mean? Like, we thank God for the, you know, the Grant Cardones and for the, you know, for all these big names out there, the Gary V's, man. We learn a lot from them, but I believe we can learn a lot from ourselves too, from people just like you and me. So thank you so much for tuning in. This was Offbeat Podcast. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
What?